Welcome, everyone. Hi, Amy and Christopher. If you want to locate the chat and just let me know if you can hear me okay, that would be great. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. Great. Thanks, Chris. Awesome. This is the immersive view. I just discovered it. It's kind of interesting. Um, Thanks, Amy, also. And so we're just waiting on our panelist, Betsy, to jump on. And actually, while we're waiting, I want to just go ahead and invite our attendees. Let's see, we now have, oh, Betsy's on as an attendee, and there's my clock. So let me admit her as a panelist, and then we should be all set. Um, and I'd love to invite Amy to join us as a panelist too. I don't want to put you on the spot because I know you probably joined thinking you would just be listening today. But this is a small group of folks that are registered to attend. We've got a lot of people that want to see this recording after. But yeah, we're trying something kind of new. Hey, Betsy, thanks for jumping on.
Hello.
All right, awesome. So I'll go ahead and kind of get set up to get started. We're still waiting on a few attendees, but we've got Amy, and Amy, I believe you're from Washington. Is that correct, or is it Wisconsin? That's good. Thank you, Chris. Beautiful. Wisconsin. Okay, great. Yeah. So basically, I've been working with Betsy and the VPA for years, our company, our hometown. And we recently kind of put together this presentation for her and her team to just kind of give her a status on where things are with this group of 6 papers that we've been working with for, about 4 years, going on 4 years now since the first one started through what we call the digital initiative. Which the main objective is to get all newspapers in Virginia online with their own website, and there's a lot of reasons that we want to get to that, and I want to talk about those reasons with Betsy. So, and Betsy, really, it was the VPA that came to us with this digital initiative. So it's really your thing that you gave us the idea for it, and we're just trying to kind of bring this model to other states because it's gone so well with these 6 initial papers. And I'll show some revenue figures in just a minute, breaking it down by each case. But Betsy, I thought maybe we could start by you just kind of giving us a high level overview of the digital initiative and what your objectives are with it, or have been.
Okay. Yeah, I think Matt's right. It was probably 4 or 5 years ago now. Um, a couple reasons why we wanted this. One, well, 3 reasons that I can think of. One, we couldn't believe that we had members that didn't have websites. Seems kind of hard to believe because not only are they communicators as newspapers, but they're businesses, and you would think a business would have a website. Second, we wanted, quite frankly, all of our members to have websites from the standpoint of public notices. We had passed in 2019 a bill, which of course became law, that says that all public notices that appear, this is when they were only appearing in print, they have to appear also on the newspaper's website if they have one, it says in the code. And if they do have one, there has to be a link from the landing page. It has to be very visible, so it's easy for people to find public
Right,
notices. And those public notices have to be in front of the paywall on the
right,
newspaper's website. And then the third place, of course, they have to be is on VPA's statewide public notice website, which of course is powered or uh, provided through Illinois Press Association. So,
right.
we use the argument when we go to the General Assembly, and they would say, this is going back 5, 6, 7 years. Oh, everything's online. Why should, public notices be in newspapers? And we'd say, well, public notices are online too. They're in the print edition, they're on the newspaper's website, in front of the paywall, and they're on the statewide public notice website. Of course, we would not want those legislators to drill too deep and find out that there were a dozen newspapers that were VPA members that didn't have a website, because that kind of like ruins our argument, quite honestly. So we wanted them all to have a website. So we
Right.
approached all of them, and I think it was 10 to 12. I mean, there were a couple on this list that probably had like a landing page, a static landing page, and that was it.
Right. Right.
And it's
They're
like,
not, yeah, they're
yeah,
not
yeah, it's
totally
like,
offline,
this is
but
our name, here's our phone number kind of thing.
right. Right.
So we approached all of them, and a couple said, well, we're going to do it ourselves. And a couple actually just said no, quite honestly. And a couple more said, our parent company or whoever we're selling to or whoever we work with is going to do this. So these were the six who agreed to do it. And to be completely transparent, the Courier Record had one, uh,
Right.
but they needed a lot of beefing up, and they had very specific goals they wanted to reach, which we'll get into in a minute. So we
Right.
wanted to be able to say all of our members had websites, and we wanted that from the public notice standpoint. And also, this is when we first started thinking about developing the digital initiative as a way to help our papers be sustainable. So at this point, some papers, not these in this group, but other papers, some of which are in your states too, said, "Oh, we're going to go all digital." They have Most of them haven't done it, but you started thinking how many people are getting all of their news online. And so the other reason why you'd want them to have a website is these are all weeklies, of course. And if something happens between publication dates, one would hope that they would cover it.
Right.
It's kind of hard to believe that in 2021 they wouldn't. If something big happened, if there was an explosion in Gate City in Scott County, Virginia, one would hope that they would have an update on what happened.
Right.
If they're only putting news out in their weekly publication, then obviously they're not keeping up to date. Clearly, the expectations of the public, and not just newspaper readers, but everyone, is that I'm going to get up to the minute news all the time. So that was another reason we wanted them to do that. Then, yeah, I guess I have more than three reasons. And then the last reason was we would like to be able to sell advertising through our Virginia Press Services, which we now call Commonwealth Media Solutions. And of course, most all of us have a press services arm or advertising arm. So if we wanted to sell digital advertising and nobody had a website, it'd be really kind of hard to do that. So for
Right.
all of those reasons, we wanted them to do it. And we knew that just encouraging them might not be enough. So we thought, well, how could we make it so easy that they couldn't turn us down?
Let's say no. Yeah.
So we came up with the idea, and we approached Matt about it being a 3-year process, and we would offer each of the papers that got into the program or the initiative that we would pay their monthly, what would you call it, fee, cost?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you guys put up a big chunk of money. You kind of brought that to the table from the beginning. And we'll talk about this more later. That's not really going to be a requirement for the program or anything. We can still work with you if you didn't want to do that. But that allowed Betsy to go to these publishers and say, this site is free for you, for the initial startup period. So it really made it much easier to get folks interested. But
Right.
um,
So yeah, it was free for the first year, we
right,
told them. And then we
right.
said in the second year, you have to split the
You pay,
monthly costs with us,
right.
50/50. And
Yeah,
then in the last year, you gotta pay for it yourself, which has given them 2 years to figure out how to come up with the money
right,
to pay for the monthly cost.
right,
And so I think when they heard it's free, one, and also you working with our hometown will help you create this. I think a lot of them hadn't done it because they were, 5 of the 6 that were in this program hadn't done it because they were just intimidated by it, uh,
right, right.
creating a website. So we were trying
Exactly.
to take away the intimidation and the cost and any other roadblocks to having a website. So,
Right. Right. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. So that kind of, I just want to jump ahead to this slide just to show you, because, as part of the initiative, we see this as a partnership with the Virginia Press Association. So, we have this group discount that all their members are getting from the beginning, from the get-go. And so, the price that they were paying to cover the monthly cost was even discounted. But then indefinitely, they would keep the 10% discount for the association going forward. So yeah, we'll get more into that later. But I just kind of wanted to take a step back because we've had a couple people join us since we started. And I just wanted to open it up. I know you all may not have any questions right now, but I just wanted to open it all for you all to talk. So you can just unmute yourself at any point if you have questions. You can also say hello in the chat. But welcome. I see we got Mike from Texas and Ellen from Washington, I believe. And then we got Jen from South Carolina. So welcome, everyone. We're just getting into the meat of it here. Basically, the idea for this webinar just came from kind of like this turning point. We kind of reached this point where the VPA did stop paying for their last website in this group of the six. So they paid for the first 2 years of the website, and now these sites are sustainable. And over these first, the initial 4 years of the program, cumulatively across all six papers, we've generated 2.7 million page views, almost 90,000 in digital subscriptions, and 4,200 in digital ad network revenue. That's one part of the program, is just a plug and play ad network that's essentially Google ads. It's not technically that, but they can just have those running on the site in addition to any local ads that they want to sell, and they can run those through our platform. So yeah, I have a bunch of slides here, but I definitely want to keep this flexible. We can go on tangents if you have questions, but these are just kind of the growth over time. This is the metric that we're using to look at the success of this program, and just looking at each individual paper. We didn't have the traffic figures or the revenue figures for before they launched, so we just look at the first 6 months that they are with us, and then the most recent 6 months, just to see what our program has sort of done for them over the past 3 to 4 years. And digital subscription revenue has increased. So, there was that bump when we launched the site, and then it continued to increase 144% with the group. And average monthly page views increasing 90%, and almost 1,000 active subscribers across all the websites, all six sites. So, yeah, just kind of like big picture, like measurements we're looking at here. Oops, for some reason, that's the only one that's in animation. So yeah, and then with the Courier record, sorry. So then I break it down also by some of the leaders. And Courier Record is the paper that already had a website. So they had kind of a big audience already, but there was some issues with subscriptions. I recall they were on a different vendor. And so basically they had some paywall issues that we hammered out. And you see that reflected here. The first months versus the last 6 months, almost 500% increase in their digital subscription revenue, and their page views have increased as well. So a lot of that has to do with one part of the program, which is an automated publishing to social media. It's also the integration with the newsletter system. A lot of folks, they may have had a website before, but they didn't have a newsletter integrated. So they didn't have a way for people to keep coming back. So general insights from the Courier Record, they currently have 447 subscribers, which is the most of any of the six websites, and highest average monthly page views, increasing the number of average. Yeah, so this is just kind of like an assessment, like what could we do going forward, because they have the most page views. We could, this is just kind of a recommendation for them. We could always run more ads because we noticed some opportunities for that. Also, Rappahannock Times did very well with a 33% increase in digital revenue and 73% increase in page views. So they actually started with the highest revenue. So, we've seen consistent growth with that. And, we always are looking at other papers for ideas. And, even within the digital initiative, we've seen other subscription options that leave something to be desired on Rappahannock Times like that. I think they only have one subscription option. So, these are like little things that we can use to tweak the program over time and have each other all benefit from what we learn. Um, and then I just kind of wanted to again give you like a bigger picture view of what we're working on here. Um, the digital initiative all came from Virginia Press Association, and we're going to continue to foster that there. Obviously with these 6 sites and hopefully more. But we've also kind of brought this same model already to the Illinois Press Association and Kansas Press. So we've actually had very big success with especially Ford County Chronicle in Illinois. And every paper is a little bit different. But this is something that other associations are looking at and picking up on. So, um, just at a high level, like we're basically looking at these are the benefits to the association, and this is what you would be getting for basically plugging us and bringing us the publishers and really kind of being the middleman and the voice of this digital initiative with your members because you guys have the best relationship, and then you can bring us in as the website guys. But in exchange for that, we're just going to waive setup costs for the basic website, half off the monthly cost for the first year. And so the way I look at it is that we're sort of splitting the cost with you. If you were interested in, covering the cost for your members, then you would pay the other 50%. We would pay 50%, and that would be for the first year. And then after 2 years, those monthly, the 50% discount has to drop off for us. But we maintain that 10% association discount indefinitely. Um, but really, the benefit to you is this is like a white labeled kind of program. It's plug and play. It's all packaged for them, easy onboarding for any size newspaper. Some of these publishers are probably some of the smallest newspapers in Virginia that we brought on through this program. And we've been doing this for 25 years and worked with almost exclusively weeklies. So we're used to bringing on, the small publishers that don't have the staff to do this. Um, Trackable results, ongoing tech support. This is really all that we do 24/7. And we're really known for the support, actually, if you talk to our other publishers. And what the members are get, and we can, help you present this to them in the most straightforward way possible. But just I like to lay it out as a simple bullet list. It's first of all a mobile responsive website, paywall options for paywall and subscription tools, assuming they want to do paid, e-edition integration, so they got that print product, newsletter automation, so that every time because most of the time we're going to be publishing these articles for them and keeping the website up to date as well. I didn't kind of breezed over that, but that's part of it, is the full service extraction of the PDF edition each week. So not only do they not have to set up the website, they don't need to maintain it or update it. And so when we put those stories up in HTML and make them, indexable by search engines and put those public notices, right on the homepage, then a newsletter goes out and that keeps people coming back. Then we've got the local ad serving platform as well as the national ad network. So it really covers all your core basics, the core revenue streams with your paywall and your ads. There's all kinds of other bells and whistles that we have, like apps and audio articles, things like that. But we would probably, just keep the program pretty straightforward like this. And then unlimited training and tech support for your small teams out there. Um, so yeah, I guess I want to kind of open it up to questions because this we are kind of getting towards the end of the presentation. I want to circle back to that public notices discussion for a little bit, Betsy, at the end. I have another slide on that because
Okay.
I want to see if we can learn what is happening at the other states. Um, but yeah, just so you know, as like a next step, if you wanted to move forward with this at all, we could arrange a meeting, with our team and yours at your press association, go over the details. But basically, we would partner on this, and we would ask you to invite your members, kind of look at who this essentially what VPA did was they looked at the 10 to 12 members that had no websites and just kind of decided which ones would be best to approach first. And we handled all the prototyping, onboarding, and training after that. um, and we'd also just be looking for some kind of marketing support from you, some kind of periodic email to your members, like at least to the people that we're targeting that don't have any website, to try to get them interested in a prototype and get a meeting with them. And then going forward, we track those results just like in this presentation I showed you today. We'll go over uh, growth over time and total revenue, and that and look at case studies and see how we can learn from the basically our experience with the first set of papers. So before, if there's any other questions, you can feel free drop them in the chat. But I kind of created this slide just as like a talking point because we had that discussion last week. I found it so interesting, Betsy, because um, I honestly, like, I have been looking at this whole digital initiative as just like, yeah, we got to get all the sites online just to get them online, and that's kind of been where my thinking stopped. But you really gave me this whole bigger picture about, what you did in Virginia with kind of like establishing a standard for what the requirements are. They need to be in print, they need to be online, and they need to have notices in the state website, right? Those are the three
Right.
spots. So
Right.
like in this way you're kind of you're well, I mean, can you talk a little bit more about like just the pressures that you've seen from the digital only side of things? Because you mentioned like Henrico Citizen.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you
Yeah,
like
I mean, there's sort of a bunch of different things going on at once. I
yeah,
think, yeah, and we all care about public notices. I mean, everyone on this call cares.
right,
Texas is fighting a good fight right now. Mike can tell you about that, but we all fight it. We fight it all the time.
right,
And one of the best, I've only been in this job 9 years, but when I came on board, one of the big arguments that the General Assembly members would use, or local government, who are the people who try to get public notices out of newspapers the most, is
yeah,
we can just put them we could just create a website in our county or our town or our city, and we could just put these public notices on this website we create because everybody wants everything on a website. Well, there is some validity to that. Now, some people still want it in print, so it is in print still. But there is some validity to the fact that in 2025, people are getting a huge portion of their information of all kinds on digitally. So
right,
there was that. And so we keep with that in mind. This is before we even thought of approaching you. We put that law into effect.
right,
VPA wrote that. And that was to prove to local government and legislators that we took public notices being online seriously. But they didn't have to create local government or government websites to put them on. We would take care of it.
right,
The newspapers would take care of it. They'd keep them in print for everybody who wants to read print, which is easier to archive, as you all know. and easier to do affidavits and all that kind of thing. But it also, we put them on the website. And then they complained about, well, people who don't have a subscription can't read them, and they got a point there. So put them in front of the paywall.
Right.
And that's not hard to do with just the public notices. And then, of course, we'd already created the statewide website. But all of this is about, one, they should be in the 21st century, for Pete's sakes. Let's act like we are in the 21st century. I think a lot of people view legacy print media, as they like to refer to it, as very old-fashioned, very archaic, and not having a website really adds to
That's
that
yeah.
reputation.
Right.
So you should have a website. I've probably said this to Matt before, and some of you, and I'm being sarcastic, but I'm not really being sarcastic. I wouldn't hire a plumber who didn't have a website. I don't know why a newspaper wouldn't have a website. It's ridiculous. So there was that. There is the fact that, they're generating lots of content. And that's sometimes a
Mhm.
problem for people who create a new website, having content. Well, they have content, they're newspapers. They need to appeal to younger audiences. And obviously, my 33-year-old son, who reads vast numbers of papers, reads none of them in print. He reads them all online, and as do most younger people. So there's that issue. There's just so many reasons why all of the newspapers need to be online. Now, Virginia is a little different than other newspapers. We have had, for I'm going to say, close to 20 years, online only members. So there was a guy who was on
Mm.
board, and he had a newspaper in a place called Culpeper, Virginia. And he sold that paper, and he waited whatever the number of years for his non-compete. And then he started an online only news site.
Mm.
And because everybody liked him and trusted him, and he'd had a newspaper at one point, they opened up membership at VPA to online only local news sites. So those already existed. So
Right.
you already had those. They couldn't carry public notices. So after we started this initiative with Matt back in 21, we had been fighting off online only public notices for many years. In other words, public notices that would go directly to an online only news site.
Right.
And we fought it for 6 or 7 years, couldn't fight anymore. And so most of you know that in 23, well, actually it was 24, we had a law passed. We put a bill in, we wrote this bill, we worked with some online only publishers. And in Virginia, you can now true online only local news sites, which we figure there are maybe a dozen in the Commonwealth, can vie for public notices. They're not guaranteed public notices, but they can vie for them.
Mhm.
We also do something that some of you don't do, which is we allow free newspapers to be members of VPA, and free newspapers for many, 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 many years have been able to publish public notices. They do this by going to court and getting certified by a judge that what their
Right.
circulation is or distribution is. They have to have an audit for that. They have to be able to archive, they have to do all these things. So the judge says, yeah, you're legitimate. You're a real news site. You're a newspaper of record. And so they were getting public notices. So we took all their requirements and we put them on online. So now in Virginia, public notices can be and are being put straight into online sites. Not very many and not tons of notices.
Mhm.
And virtually all of these are our members, but that's a possibility. And one of the reasons you want to do that is, well, we did it because the legislators who kept putting in the bill said, if you don't do it, we're going to put a bill in that you're not going to be able to kill, and it's not going to be a bill you like. And we knew
Mm.
that, and we
Gotta
thought,
get ahead
well,
of it.
better we write our own bill. So we
Okay.
did, and we put in a lot of guardrails. But the
Right.
other part is, I don't know, I'm not keeping track of Wisconsin, Washington, Texas, and South Carolina.
Mm.
But we all know the Atlanta Journal and Constitution is going to cease publication on December the 31st. So that means they're going to be online only. And I don't know what the status of online only public notices is in Georgia, but in Virginia, with our members for the last 5 years, print members threatening to go online only, not even threatening, just saying that's what they were going to do, you would want to keep those public notices. You would want
Right.
to take the public notices from, and if the Richmond Times Dispatch became online only tomorrow, you would want to take the public notices that they normally could carry or publish and be able to publish those on the online only. So All
Right.
of this goes back to websites. And all of it goes back to
Right.
people not thinking so much in terms of is it online or is it in print, but reliable local news sites. And so when we put this bill in, it passed in July of last year. So it became law July 1. Actually, it passed before that, but it became law July 1 that public notices can go into what we, under these strict requirements, legitimate local news site. That's where
Right.
public notices belong. They don't,
Right.
I would not make the argument anymore they belong in, I would say they still belong in print, but I would say more than anything, they belong on a local news site. And someday, I mean, it could be in a decade, there are no print publications left. There'll
Right.
probably be some, but the vast majority of them could
Right.
switch to online. And what we don't want to do is not only lose our readers, lose public notices, lose credibility, lose advertisers. We want people to think, oh, it doesn't matter if they're in print or they're online. They're the legitimate local news site in my
Right.
city, town, or county.
Right.
So that's why this is so critical, and everything comes back to, I mean, we lost advertising revenue because of Craigslist. We
Yep.
lost a lot of obituaries because of whatever the name of the obituary company is. We've lost so much stuff to
Yep.
Google. We've lost, and so
Yeah.
what do we think
Just the
that?
last thing. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, we can't lose everything, and
Right.
it's our own fault if we lose everything. So
Right.
we
Hmm.
looked at, you know, we actually started out with, before we even contacted you, Matt, we thought we would like do this fellowship program and it was going to be really complicated. We were going to get to these college students who were like tech, we assumed all college
Mm.
students are tech savvy, and we were
Mm-hmm.
going to like put them in the fellowship program and send them out for a month to in the summer to like one of our member newspapers and have them build a website. And then
Oh,
we got
wow.
realistic and we said, one, I don't even know they could do that. And two, that's not enough hand holding. I mean,
Right.
we need this process to be
Sustainability.
longer.
Mm.
We need to know that it's all being done the same way, that it's being done with certain standards. And that's when we realized we got to approach this in a different way. And we came up with you guys because you were already helping
We
people
already do
create
this.
websites. So we're like,
Right.
let's get somebody like our hometown to do this for us. So
I didn't know about that fellowship idea. That's interesting. Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is definitely our bread and butter, and yeah, you guys fit right in. I'm curious though, if we could maybe hear from some of the attendees, either in chat or you can unmute yourself, about how you're looking at this public notice issue, how your state is dealing with it. If you've got anything coming up that you know of, feel free to jump in. Um, I've got just kind of like this simple little decision tree that I wrote out. It's, it's just from my perspective, on the tech side, kind of, and like this is what I got from our conversation last week, Betsy, is like the state legislature, if they haven't already yet, they're going to kind of push for this online availability, and like what happens then? Like what is your state going to be able to, what kind of argument can you make for the papers, I guess, on their behalf, that they should maintain this? And you've taken the approach of it's on the landing page. They have a website. It's on the landing page in front of the paywall. It's on the Virginia site and in print. But yeah, just some other things to point out that, like, I guess, these state legislators might be looking at, like if they see older websites that are just PDF editions, that are, your public notice is there, but it's just a PDF edition and it's not keyword searchable or indexed by Google, then that's just going to take away credibility. So not only do we need to make sure they're online, we need to make sure they're indexed properly, formatted for search engines, updated regularly. The site is updated each week, and that's why we got that full service component. Um, and yeah, just I'm curious if any of you all are working with Illinois as well with a public notice statewide website, or if you've got another vendor that you're using for that. would be really interested in just kind of continuing this conversation. This is just sort of like I just threw this in at the last minute just as a little bit of a talking point, but I see this issue as the main one, and this is kind of what underlies everything. So um, I think that is my last slide, actually. So I think it probably we can wrap it up now, I think, unless there's any questions, or if Betsy, if you wanted to mention anything else that's come to mind,
Well, I
related to
don't,
this.
I know Beth well in Wisconsin, and I know Randy and Jen somewhat, and Mike. Amy, not Amy, Ellen, I'm not as familiar with what's going on right now in Washington. But I just see that there's no future for local news without some digital capabilities. And even if you were in a place where people love print still and want to keep print for, the next 20 years, that doesn't take away from the need for a digital option in those communities. And, I'm probably older than all of you guys. I turned 69 a week ago, and I am not, you can ask my son this or my staff. I'm the least tech savvy person on the planet, but I'm online all day, every day, and I'm on my phone a lot. And um, this is just the way we all live now. So we need to be able to show our readers and the public that whether we're in print or whether we're online, having credible local news is vital to our communities, and it's that we take it seriously enough that we're creating websites where they don't currently exist. And I think that just strengthens um, our print product, frankly, to have the digital option.
Right,
I don't think it takes away from it. I think it strengthens it. So I
right.
don't know if any of you have any questions before we get off, but I'm happy to try and answer them.
Yes, absolutely. I think I haven't seen any come in through the chat, so I think we can assume that we've answered most of them for now. But we can definitely we're hoping to keep this conversation going as we continue to grow this program in Kansas, Illinois, Virginia. We'll keep you all updated on that if you're interested. And I appreciate you all coming out and your feedback today. It's really just like Betsy said, it's just about getting our bases covered and kind of bringing a sustainable solution to the members. Again, I didn't do the overview slide of the company, but we've been doing this for over 25 years. It's a family business. This is all that we do is newspaper websites. So um, I think we could really be a good solution for your members.
Yeah,
So
one more thing, Matt. Sorry to
yes,
interrupt you.
no, no,
Um,
please.
we, of course, got approval from our board to spend this money. And a couple of things you should know about that. The board approved the concept at the time. After we were into it by about a year or two, we started, well, before that, we started making presentations regularly to the board about where we were with the initiative. And we've had some of the people who participated in it report back to the board. And I can tell you, particularly the Courier Record in Blackstone,
Mm,
the guy there is Billy Colburn, and he has said this was a life changer for him. Actually, Lisa McCarty has too at the Virginia Star. So that was really what board members wanted to hear, that this was a lot,
mhm.
a game changer for these publications.
Right,
And so it's, to me, it's a service and a benefit you can offer members that they can't get anywhere else but their press association. So I think you should think of it that way too. Oh, and the
excellent.
last thing,
Yeah.
sorry, I forgot.
No,
We've
no.
moved this, so to scale this, we went on to digital phase 2, and now we're in digital phase 3, and they aren't quite the same. They're doing other things. But to scale those up to the the size we need them, and to get the kind of money that we all know is out there from Knight and Press Forward and so on. We've moved this whole initiative, all these programs, to our 501c3. And we renamed our 501c3 from Virginia Press Foundation. We renamed it about 6 months ago, 8 months ago now, to be the Virginia Local News Project. And this sustainability and digital initiative is really, really appealing to grant funders. So keep that in mind too.
Wow, that is a good one to end it on. I think that just all these little details that you've picked up on how to make this work. So we'll summarize this whole meeting. We'll send out a video recording, and would love to talk to anyone more about getting something like this going in your state. So
Thank
uh,
you.
thank you, Betsy. I really appreciate your time and appreciate you being such a leader in this industry. So
Thanks, Matt. We appreciate
thank
your
you.
help.
Okay, thank you. All
Bye.
right. Take care. We'll see you later. And thank you everyone for joining. And we'll follow up with an email after. Take care now.
Thank you.
Bye now.